Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I'm going to sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Get a sip of my water. Get my beautiful radio voice going. Yes, I know I'm a little scruffy this afternoon. Alright, someone awared me of this video. And yes, someone had to aware me of it. I somehow missed it in my feed. I don't know how. Guess I was busy with other stuff. Sam Sulek has pulled a pec. Now, we need to understand is that a pull like he described is actually a tear. Okay, it's just probably a low-grade tear. But he had to quit his workout. And here's the thing that I've said before. When I make these statements, I am not being a hater on Sam. I've already told you guys it is very clear he is using excessive amounts of gear and has been for a while. Okay, it's blaringly obvious. I'm talking Dallas McCarver amounts, and you can tell because he's grown as fast as Dallas McCarver. Sam will not be here in 5 years, and I have nothing personal against this guy when I say that. I want to be clear. I do not wish this human being any ill will. I do not think he's a bad person. I'm just calling facts. Okay, just like I called Dallas McCarver 6 months before he passed. I said this guy's going to be dead within a year. It's just that obvious, and it should be to you people at this point. And the thing is, the only problem with this is that you have guys like Sam who then put out information, and they're like, oh, he must really know a lot about training because he got so jacked so big, and he doesn't. He's just using very, 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 very large amounts of stuff. That's it. It's not knowledge. Problem is they get popularity, then everyone emulate their training. But the fact is, it's just like when experts, multiple bodybuilders who have PhDs in the field of exercise science have said, look, his training is kind of bad. It's not good. He doesn't really know what he's doing. The form is bad. Some of it's a little dangerous. Okay. And again, that's not those people being haters. That's giving their objective professional opinion. And again, it makes sense. And anyone watching understands this. This is what the kids watching and who see this need to understand. Is it possible for him to have obtained much knowledge? No. He's young. The kid's he's like 21 years old. He's only been working out a few years. Nobody knows anything at 3 years. Nobody on the face of the earth knows training at 3 years. They don't. That's not an insult. It's just stating facts. Honestly, and people don't like to hear this, I'm saying this as someone with well over 2 decades of experience. It probably takes about 10 years of consistent training to really start to get a good grasp of what's going on in the weight room. And I know some people say it can't be that complicated. I'm sorry, it is. And you're going to find a lot of other long-term coaches and lifters will more or less tell you the same thing. It's about a decade. I personally was still an idiot at a decade, by the way. What I knew at the decade mark, I was still personally pretty much a moron as far as it goes. So I was probably a little behind the curve. But let's be honest, he's further back than that right now. He just is. And it's the fact he's only been training like 3-4 years tops. So the problem is that knowledge gets put out. So what happened? He was using really bad form with all sorts of looseness, using a Smith machine for incline benching. And then I saw the follow-up video. He's like, oh, I think what it is because I used a different angle than I normally do. It's like, no, Sam, it's because you're blasting huge amounts of gear to get way bigger than your tendons can handle, way faster, and then you're just throwing weight around with piss poor form, really heavy weight. Okay? I mean, if it was some skinny kid who didn't know what he was doing, using the same level of exertion, and they had 1 plate per side on that bar instead of 4, right? And they used the form that Sam used. Some skinny noob trained exactly, literally like Sam did. You guys would all be in there going, your dumb ass is going to get hurt. Stop doing what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You admit it. Every one of you, if it was not a massive guy like Sam on a ton of gear, walking around massive as hell, someone who had the same level of training experience he has, but they were a 140-pound skinny kid using 15% of the weight that he had on there, doing the same goofball form. every last one of you would tell him, stop, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're doing. Get someone to teach you the basics. Every one of you would be doing that. If it looked literally identical, the exact same form. Okay? But because it's Sam with his millions of followers and having grown really fast, they're like, oh, it must be good. But it's not. It's because he's still a noob. The muscle mass that he's gained through the using very, 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 very large amounts of drugs. I want to be clear. People say, lots of guys use drugs, don't get that big. Exactly. Lots of guys use 10% of what he uses, and they don't get that big. Yeah. So, but because it's him, people are like, oh, yeah, it's got to be. No, he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's not his fault. And I want to be clear. It is not his fault. He's a noob. He's still learning. Right? We've all been through this. It's because of the situation he's in, and also because he's gotten so big and has such a big following, it's also going to be harder for him to take advice from others. It's actually going to work to his detriment. It really is. But at the end of the day, we're now seeing what a bunch of us have been talking about, and we're saying, he's going to start getting hurt. Okay, I mean, he's obviously going to have a heart attack before 30. But that aside, he's going to start getting hurt because he's just flinging weight around. And he's flinging big weights around without a good understanding of technique. He's really could be growing. I mean, he could be gaining muscle just as fast using a lot less weight on all these movements with just stricter form, better technique, better tightness, better ranges of motion. You know, he could. He really could. But again, the issue is, it's the bad form. And that's exactly what it was. It was really sloppy form with an excessively heavy weight. Even on a Smith machine. I'm not a fan of Smith machines. I'm not going to get into all of that. So for those curious what happened, that's what happened. And is it going to be the last time? No, it's going to keep happening. It's going to be his hamstrings next. It's going to be his tricep next. He's going to pull something in his back. Okay, he's going to rip a bicep off. It's going to be something else. Okay, may not come completely off, but we're going to see some serious we're going to see some injuries start accumulating at this point. It's just to be expected because he's throwing around too much weight with the techniques that he's using, given his relative experience. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.